Good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. Good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for joining me here this morning. And today is our Prayer with Friday, and it is also Juneteenth. So happy Juneteenth to those out there celebrating. And for those of you who haven't heard about it, or maybe, I don't want to say at odds with it, but just don't understand it, just understand that it marks a celebration in this country where there were still those who had not yet been told or knew about the Emancipation Proclamation, and they had still been enslaved some years later after the proclamation. So it is really to celebrate those who finally found out and who are no longer enslaved, even though, if you've watched my show, I still find that somewhat questionable today because I think they are still trying to use slavery in a way that is it's against uh, people in this country, and I don't like it, and I see it, and I see it happening to people from all walks of life. It's not just the American Negro. I can see it happening to other people. And so I want to make sure that I do my part to make sure slavery is completely eradicated and no one has to have that over their heads. But again, happy Juneteenth. And thank you guys for joining me. So we're going to start with our honoring God with our body. So let me get that on the stage. And God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect my ears and help me listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help my hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect my reproductive organs and help me to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect my feet as I walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And that is something, if you joined us here on Unfiltered Vision News, that is something I definitely try to share daily, just to get our hearts and our minds set right for the day as we go forward with a lot of this news. So let's start with X, our trending topics on X. Now, this one is a little bit of controversy. It says we are just simply telling Barack Obama, the foundation, the general contractor, and their Lakeside Alliance partners to pay these contractors so that they can go on with their lives. So, President of the African American Contractors Association, Omar Sharif, demands answers. And in short, what's happening is the endowment for Barack Obama. They raise this money so that he can have this library or center that he has. And Reagan has one, Bush has one, Clinton has one. A lot of presidents will do this, right? To be like a landmark, like, hey, this is what we accomplished during our term, right? So he does this. It's like 18 acres or something like that. I guess it's really pretty. The problem is these contractors, some of them put up their homes, some of them went into debt trying to build this, center, and they're not getting paid. Yeah, you heard me right. But let's listen to what Mr. Sharif has to share.
President of African American Contractors Association, Omar Sharif, who has several subcontractors who, they own private companies that have approached him with unpaid invoices. Sir, I appreciate you taking the time. Having been in infrastructure construction myself, I understand the use of subcontractors, and not paying a bill can be devastating to one of these businesses.
Well, thank you for having me, Carl. I really appreciate this, because a lot of our contractors are hurting from this ordeal that took place on the Obama Center. They was happy to be involved. Everybody was ecstatic. Some of my members was involved. They came to me 4 months ago and told me that they was having some difficulty. So I sat in the conference room. I asked them what difficulty was it. They clearly explained that they were dealing with cost overruns that they was forced to do, and they did not get financial covering for it. And so they asked me to speak about it. And so I asked them, do they mind me using their name? They told me that they had a non-disclosure agreement, and they were afraid that they would get sued and they would lose everything. But here today, they still want to lose everything because they're not getting their money. Their loans are due. Someone put up their home. Some have lines of credit. Some have supply lines of credit, as well as some of the majority guys that would like to use them in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. They do not want to use them now because of the problem that they're having on this Obama Center. And we're just simply telling Barack Obama, the foundation, the general contractor, and their Lakeside Alliance partners to pay these contractors so that they can go on with their lives.
Yeah, well, they also have, I believe, they have over a $400 million endowment just sitting there to ensure that it doesn't.
They're not even using it.
Yeah, well, exactly.
They're not using it. And today, what's so interesting, they had all the celebrity, all the glitz and glamour, and they could have raised the money there and paid these guys and let them go about their business.
What do they say to you when you approach these people? Like, dude, you guys got to pay your bills.
Well, they claim that the contractor's been paid. So that means that somebody took the money or stashing the money, and they're not paying the subcontractors, which the project supposed to be geared around helping the economic development in our community. I've been doing this thing since 1989, and I never seen nothing like this happen in my entire life.
Wow. I mean, that says something. I mean, obviously, it's not Barack Obama you're dealing with, but there's somebody at the top of this food chain that's giving you guys the finger. Is there any mechanism that you've seen that might be able to work, put liens on this place or anything?
Well, some have, there'll probably be some liens dashed out, but they was trying to give I think, the center and the president respect enough to open up and to see what happened. But they're afraid that now that the center is open up, they're not going to get their money, probably a penny on the dollar or whatever, and they're not going to get their rightful cost of that project. But my thing is that pay them so that they can go on and save their company and chalk this one up as a loss.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Omar, I appreciate you joining us no matter what side of the political aisle you're on. You got to pay your contractors, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and love you for it. Thank you.
All right.
Now, if anybody was wondering what George Bush was invited and maybe not President Trump, is because, you know, they are cousins. Okay. It was a family affair up there. I'm just saying they're related, the Bush family and the Barack Obama. So that's why he was there. All right. And now let's move on. I found this video. I found it fast. Prep it up. It says generation cycles of fatherlessness are being broken. This is what we need to celebrate this weekend in America. Fathers of freedom are rising up. So the moment your kids realize you've broken generational cycles.
If your dad has
Yeah. And these are the things that we need to do more and see more. Because, see, the media would have you believe that, especially Black Americans, and I'm not talking about melanated humans, I'm talking about the American Negro, that we just don't care about our children. We don't care about our community. We don't care about this country. And that is just false. And we are going to continue to break those generational curses. Now, I want to move on to the National Desk, and it looks like they are, the DOJ is going to sue New York. So I hope I pull up the right video. Apologies if I don't. Think this is it. Let me see. Nope, it's this one. Okay.
I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington, where the Justice Department is accusing the state of New York of making a backroom deal with a private company at the expense of millions of federal dollars. Vice President J.D. Vance accusing top health officials in the state of protecting a company that was breaking the rules in how Medicaid contracts are doled out and costing taxpayers millions. It's just the latest stop for the Trump administration's crackdown on fraud. The Justice Department blaming Governor Kathy Hochul's office for failing to take action to stop fraud in a home health care program used by more than 250,000 New Yorkers. In a lawsuit against the state of New York, the DOJ arguing the company Public Partnerships LLC was pre-selected through a sham bid process. PPL also accused of making false statements and misrepresentations about its staffing and financial readiness. Also of adding hundreds of millions of dollars of additional costs on the Medicaid program paid for by federal funds.
You know what these fraudsters are doing? They are taking advantage of American generosity to enrich themselves.
Vice President J.D. Vance, also President Trump's fraud czar, insisting the state's Medicaid and health directors are to blame. Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz has for months insisted home health aid programs are being abused.
It's the #1 job, more than retail in some states, and you're employing hundreds of thousands of people. But if we're paying for the kinds of services your family would normally offer you, balancing your checking account, carrying the groceries upstairs, well, I mean, you're going to hire your child to do those things. I don't know if you actually need him to do those things. He's getting paid, and that money, therefore, can flow back to the family unit. That's not a smart way of running a social system.
Critics raising concerns about how rapidly funds have been cut off around the country. The Washington Post reporting on legitimate small businesses that have been swept up, collateral damage as part of the crackdown. Public Partnerships LLC has already responded to the DOJ lawsuit, arguing it was chosen for its role through a transparent, competitive process. In a statement also saying it strongly disagrees with the complaint and will respond fully through the appropriate legal process. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting to see what happens. And that was my concern, that, there would be businesses that actually were doing the job, but they're going to get caught up just because of the fraud that's going on. And it's unfortunate. It's like the people that are doing bad are causing all of this. So it's like, okay, you got to straighten up your act. This is why it is always imperative to do what's right, especially when you're dealing with federal dollars. And a lot of people have just been getting away with stuff for a long time, and it's stopping. All right. So the next one I want to get to is about this LA. Okay. So Los Angeles wants non-citizens. They're putting up a vote for the citizens to allow non-citizens to vote in just local elections. So not the, I want to say not the state or federal elections, but just the local elections. So like your mayors. But I was like, how are the ballots separated? Because most of these elections, it's like a whole ballot. So really? So there's like all these special things going on? So there's special ballots for non-citizens. Let's check it out.
For voters in city elections, the city council took the first step toward giving non-citizens the right to vote. The proposal will appear in your November ballot.
Sounds controversial.
Yeah.
Here to break down the measure is the director of the Los Angeles Initiative at the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs and former city council member Zev Yaroslavsky. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Good to be with you this morning.
All right. Yes,
We know it's early, Zev. Thank you.
Let's talk about this measure, though, that asks voters to give the city council the power to approve a law asking non-citizens to vote. Voters will see the measure on the November ballot now. It's based on the idea that anyone who lives in the city and contributes should be able to vote. Do you think voters will approve of this? I have to believe this is controversial.
Yeah, I suspect it's controversial, and I don't know what the odds are of it passing or not. The city council yesterday took the first step towards doing that. I think there's some reticence about it on the council. I watched the debate yesterday. I think they're going to have to deal with a number of logistical problems because we're talking about non-citizens. How do they register to vote? How does the county registrar handle this? Because they handle all the elections. How do they discern who can vote just on the local races? That's what they're talking about. They can only vote on the local races. So like on the election 2 weeks ago, the governor's race would not have been, they would not have been able to vote on it. So how does the registrar differentiate between that and a city council race? So I think there are a number of issues that have to be resolved before they can even execute this. Approval, first of all, the voters are going to have a chance to weigh in. They have to decide to do it. Right. Whether they will approve it or not is up in the air. I don't know. I suspect it'll be controversial. Secondly, if they do approve it, that only gives the city council the authority to do it. The city council would then have to execute that plan. And that could take some time.
Oh, interesting.
And as you're pointing out, a lot of logistics would have to be worked out. Okay, a proposal that did not move forward, but that's getting a lot of attention, is aimed at expanding the city council. Right now, from 15 members, it would be to 25, but the Rules Committee said that measure needed.
Okay, so I'm gonna remove it. Los Angeles is wild. Okay, so I ran this through Grok, and I wanted Grok to basically check it and do a non-biased. I want a non-biased answer, right? I don't want a biased answer. I want a non-biased answer. Just give me the facts, right? So here's what I put in Grok. I said, recently, Los Angeles has put forth a policy to allow individuals that are not United States citizens to vote in local elections. Is this a violation of state and federal constitution? In my opinion, it is, because the only individuals, according to our constitutions, federal and state, are Congress. Congress can only change immigration law of what's allowed and what's not, right? So I said, also, does this show that Los Angeles has been in violation of Title 8, Section 1324, which is harboring illegal aliens, giving shelter and other protections, sorry for the space, to undocumented individuals. Please give an unbiased response based in facts, not talking points. So it says no. Allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections is not a violation of the U.S. Constitution or California Constitution as currently interpreted and practiced in some jurisdictions. Here's the key phrasing. How they are interpreting it and how they're practicing it is different than what is legally what it's supposed to be. That's my opinion. I'm just giving my opinion right now. Okay, so though it is a contentious policy change requiring voter approval in Los Angeles and subject to legal challenges, which in my opinion it will be, because like the commentators were saying, the newscasters, they were like, the logistics around this, are you kidding me? So you have 100,000, and that's a low number of non-citizens. Where do they vote? How do they vote? What do their ballots look like? Are their ballots going to be just thrown in with everybody else's ballots? Like, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the logistics, thinking this all the way down the chain. It's not just like, oh, you get to vote now. Just go into the booth. No, they can't do that because they can't vote in state elections, right? And if it's local, what does local mean? Does local just mean the city? Does local mean the county? Does local, you know what I mean? Like every single thing down the chain. People just don't think a lot of this stuff through. So anyway, I put this all in here. I can't get too much into a lot of the weeds of it, but this was interesting. It says the Constitution does not explicitly require U.S. citizenship for all voting. It sets qualifications for federal offices and leaves voter eligibility for most elections primarily to the states, which is true, right? So non-citizen voting in federal elections is prohibited by federal law, which is true. And the illegal Immigration Reform and Immigration Responsibility Act of 1996, because a lot of things changed, right? They couldn't just come over here. They had to work. They had to have a job. They couldn't just come and get on welfare like they've been doing recently, right? So what happened? Okay. Anyway, so states and localities have historically had flexibility for local elections. No blanket federal prohibition exists against non-citizen voting in purely local matters. So municipal school board races, provided it does not interfere with federal elections. Some municipalities in California, San Francisco for school board, Maryland, Vermont, and Washington, D.C. have implemented non-citizen voting for local races, often upheld or unchallenged in courts. Huh? Yeah. So this has all been going on. It's been going on in D.C. It just floors me sometimes, the information that I find. But what I was also asking, I said, it seems that policy is overriding actual immigration law. Okay, so there's that part. And then I wanted to give a list of localities where this is happening, and it did. And I read them for you. So California, Maryland, Vermont, and Washington, D.C. New York City's broader attempt was struck down by courts. These programs are limited to local races and often require residency and other qualifications. Okay, so ballot separation, we're getting into it. So I said, are Americans allowed to vote in other countries in their local election? So can I just go to Honduras and vote? Guess what? No. It's a big bupkis, okay? They said no. Americans, U.S. citizens, are generally not allowed to vote in other countries' local elections simply because they are American, period. So what are we doing? But everybody can come over here and interfere in us? Really? Really? It's very telling of the people that are in office. And this is a call to get off the couch. Get off the couch and get to work. Because if you sit back and allow the nonsense, this is what you're going to get. Get off the couch. So voting rights in foreign countries are determined by that country's laws, usually based on residency. Wow, shocker. Citizenship status, oh my goodness, and specific treaties or reciprocity agreements. So why are people voting in our elections? I don't care if you're on a green card, visa. And what I hate is there was a video, and I didn't want to play like the whole video that I found, but apparently there was a video of a gentleman, and I guess he's on the city council, and he was like, oh yeah, people have lived here for decades, like 20, 30 years. They're not citizens of this country. They're non-citizens or legal residents. 20, 30 years. Well, they pay taxes here and they own homes. Did you hear me? They own homes here in this country. So they should be allowed to vote and have no, they shouldn't. What are we doing? Y'all, it's just bad outside. Okay. And all I'm saying is we need to really do better with our country. Now we're going to get into this really quick. So let me scroll back up. There have been some rulings by the Supreme Court. The one I really want to get into is the voting rights one. But the United States versus Himani, holding in a unanimous 9-0 decision, the court ruled that applying Title 18, Section 922G3, which prohibits unlawful users of controlled substances from possessing firearms, right, violates the Second Amendment. Wow. So historical analogs supported disarming only those with extreme intoxication, impairing self-control, not routine users of substances like marijuana. So narrows the federal ban's application to certain drug users, right? Distinguishing recreational, regular use from addiction or clear danger. Preserves the law for more extreme cases. This aligns with post-Buren in 2022 history and tradition test for gun regulations and comes amid varying state marijuana laws. Lower courts will apply this in similar challenges. So basically, if you get high, you can still have a gun. Okay, so in Louisiana versus Calices, now this is going to be the one that's very contentious. This is the one about the voting, right? So in a 6-3 decision, Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch concurring, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson dissenting. The court held that Louisiana's congressional map, which created a second majority Black district to comply with Voting Rights Act VRA Section 2 concerns, was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander, right? And everybody knew it. Okay, compliance with Section 2 did not require it, and race predominated without sufficient justification. The ruling narrows Section 2's application in redistricting, emphasizing that partisan considerations can explain map drawn and that intentional race-based drawing requires strict scrutiny. So here are the effects. Strikes down the map. Okay, so the map of Louisiana has been stricken down. States have more leeway in redistricting if they can cite non-racial partisan rationales. And that's what happened in Texas. They were able to show, hey, more people are voting Republican. So a lot of these districts have actually flipped, and we need to redraw some of these districts because the amount of people that are voting, right? So to keep the representation even with the amount of people. You don't want somebody, it's got 10 million people over here and somebody's got like 200 people over here. It's just making, it's just drawing the district so there's not this consolidated area. And a lot of people say, but we need those consolidated areas so we can have, better representation. Right now, the way our Congress is, the House and Senate, our representation is horrible, in my opinion. I might be able to pick out 10 of them that I would keep. Everybody else, you're fired. you gotta go. But that's just my opinion. So it strikes down maps. It critiques, critics argue it weakens VRA protections against vote dilution for minority voters. It has prompted or enabled map challenges in some states ahead of elections. Okay, so we've got United States versus Scrimetti. Okay. Oh, and this is about it bans certain gender affirming medical interventions, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones for minors treating gender dysphoria. The law classifies based on age and medical purpose, not sex or transgender status. So it reserves rational basis review. Okay, so what it does is it allows similar state bans on these treatments for minors to stand. Okay, so I think they challenged it in others. They were challenging it, like, you can't do that. And they're like, yeah, it stands. They can ban this stuff. So if it's banned in Georgia, it's banned in another state, that's it. And they do not have to buckle or comply with the nonsense. And I'm glad. I'm okay with that. Because children should not be dealing with this. What is going on? It's crazy. Does not directly affect adults or non-banned care. Narrow ruling tied to the record of medical context leaves room for future challenges. Okay. Let's see. Learning Resources Inc. versus Trump. Let's see what's going on here. The court ruled that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Okay, this is on the tariffs. I think we all knew about the tariffs, but let's see. The effects. It invalidated or required termination of certain broad tariffs imposed under the IEEPA, prompted refunds, processes, and shifts in trade policy. Administration explored other authorities, reinforces limits on executive trade powers via emergency statutes and the major questions doctrine. Okay, so we're done. So yeah, all that money that was made has got to be paid back. It kind of stinks, but it is what it is. The economy is oh my goodness, we need to get a rein on this again. Okay, so the court has addressed topics like presidential removal powers. So they addressed that. Major cases on transgender, sports participation, birthright citizenship challenge, and other executive immigration issues remained pending or recently argued. So we're still waiting on some of this stuff. So I said for the case in Louisiana, some argue bias. However, can you outline what it will look like going forward in a sample of demographics that would be affected? So going forward, it narrows the Section 2 enforcement, right? States face lower risk of court-ordered majority-minority districts. Challengers must show stronger proof that the maps were drawn to intentionally dilute minority voting strength because of race, not party. Okay. Increase state flexibility in redistricting so legislatures can more readily cite partisan, incumbent protection, or other non-racial rationalities. I'm just telling you, the race thing, it comes back to bite you in the butt. Don't play the race game. It's bad. It's a bad thing. Litigation shift. More challenges will likely focus on state constitutions or equal protection claims, and the timing before the 2026 election changes depend on state actions and court stays. So Texas was one of them. And the demographics are interesting because Texas has a large growing Black population, 13 to 14%, Hispanic. It's 40% of the population driving most of the growth. So we're definitely not the minority majority in Texas. I'm just saying, what are we talking about? So high Hispanic CVAP in South Texas districts like the 15th, 16th, 28th, and 34th. Black influence in Houston like the 18th and 9th, and those are the district numbers. Redistricting reportedly reduced effective minority opportunity seats in some areas by cracking communities, creating more Republican-leaning districts, even where minority populations are significant on paper. Critics noted this dilutes collective minority voting power, collective to population share. Supports emphasized partisan performance and compliance with equal population rules. The whole thing with the gerrymandering thing has always confused me because it's like, why can't people just vote and be represented? Why does it always have to come back to race? And why are you guys in such a fight and a rush to pit people against one another, right? Do your job. Be the servants that you're supposed to be for the people that you claim you want to represent at the federal level. In my opinion, you don't want to represent everybody. You just want to be up there for yourself, to make TikTok videos and to grandstand and to be horrible and to take money from these corporations that want your vote so you don't even have to listen to the people that you said you wanted to represent in the first place. What are we doing? And you want to call other people fascist? You are the fascist. Because whenever you, senators, allow corporations to be in partnership with you and rule over the people, because that's what you're doing right now, you're the fascist. All of you, every single one of you. If you have taken $1 from a corporation and you are sitting in a seat, House or Senate, you are the fascist. Go ahead and read Thomas Jefferson's Federalist Papers 19. It'll tell you everything you need to know. Okay? About fascism. Yeah. y'all are wild. And the last one that I wanted to hit, and I'm gonna get this video, and we are going to end our broadcast for the week. The NDAA, which is the National Defense Authorization Act, is an annual U.S. federal law that authorizes funding, right, levels, policy, programs, and activities for the defense, for the Department of Defense, military services, and related national security measures. It is one of the largest and most important pieces of legislation Congress passes each year, right? So it covers it again. It just kind of outlined it here. Now, this is very controversial what's happening right now. Section 224 of the fiscal year 27 NDAA, and this is the House version, so it hasn't passed yet. Its core purposes establishes a formal framework to deepen, institutionalize U.S.-Israel defense technology collaboration. What? Moving beyond traditional military aid toward integrated R&D, industrial cooperation, and technology integration. This aims to accelerate adoption of Israeli innovations into U.S. systems and strengthen joint capabilities against shared threats. What? So now we just don't even, so we're just not even the United States anymore. Really? So we're just gonna, start combining our intelligence and our military capabilities with other countries now? If this passes, everybody's going to prison. I'm sorry. I'm ready. Y'all need to be in Leavenworth. Okay? This shouldn't even be on the table. This shouldn't even be a conversation. But they have introduced this in the House to go to the Senate to be passed, to be signed by our president. The nonsense. And we have to remember that this is a majority Republican House and Senate. So this is your mess. And this is a mess. Claiming we'll be safer. Artificial intelligence. No. Shut it down. Shut it down. Right now. Y'all are out of line. All of you. Every single one of you. Republicans and Democrats. You're all out of line. All of you. And every single one of you in there, in my opinion, needs to be put into prison, and we need a completely new Congress. And I'm talking about the aides too. Oh, y'all are not off the hook. When I say everybody in the chambers, I mean everybody. I'm talking about the court reporters too. Everybody. All of y'all need to be in prison. Because if you were not against this, you are part of it. You haven't reported it. Clean sweep. Clean sweep. Now, apparently, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey, they argue it risks overly entangling U.S. and military industries. You think? But there's the supporters that view it as enhancing U.S. technological superiority, interoperability, and deterrence by leveraging Israel's innovation in key domains. No, we don't do that. We have allies. Okay, we have frenemies. Yeah, we have those type of relationships. We don't combine our intelligence with anybody. But maybe we have on the low. And now they're just trying to cover their tracks with this bill. That's what I think. That's just my opinion. But I will have these links for you guys so you can further get into the weeds of what I brought up. And now I want to get into our last video, and then we will get into our prayer for the weekend.
Asked a Christian where God comes from, and I must say the answer was a mic drop moment. Watch this.
I am confused. Being philosophically consistent and being a very honest person, I'm sure you can tell me where God came from. In addition, once you've told me where God comes from, please try to clarify how you can figure that a spiritual force can have an impact on a material universe to create it.
All right, your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong, obviously it displays that you're thinking of the wrong God, because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant, because if there were matter but no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth, there's matter. So you have time, space, matter created, a trinity of trinities there. Just, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. You have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously, and the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's limited by time, he's not God. The guy who created this computer is not in the computer. He's not running around in there changing the numbers on the screen, okay? The God who created this universe is outside of the universe. He's above it, beyond it, in it, through it. He's unaffected by it. So the concept that a spiritual force cannot have any effect on a material body, well then I guess you'd have to explain to me things like emotions and love and hatred and envy and jealousy and rationality. I mean, if your brain is just a random collection of chemicals that formed by chance over billions of years, how on earth can you trust your own reasoning processes and the thoughts that you think? Okay, so your question, where did God come from, is assuming a limited God, and that's your problem. The God that I worship is not limited by time, space, or matter. If I could fit the infinite God in my 3-pound brain, he would not be worth worshiping, that's for certain. So that's the God that I worship. Thank you.
Follow for more truth.
Yeah, mic drop. That was complete mic drop. I was like, I am impressed. But he's not wrong. Because if your God is limited, that's the bigger question, right? Let's go, God, in prayer. God, thank you so much for this Prayer with Friday. Thank you so much for just this week. God, just carrying us through the week, through the ups, through the downs, through the pains, again, the highs and the lows. We're just thanking you for everything that you're giving us, everything that you're going to do, and everything that you have done. I pray for those out there that are struggling right now, that you help them through their struggles, that you are with them right now. Father, just be with everyone. There's so many emotions. There's so much going on in the country with the politics and everything. And I'm just praying for miracles everywhere. I am praying for you to right the wrongs. I am praying for you to put people in positions that really do care, Father. And I know things are going to get worse before they get better. But I pray that you continue to give us hope, not hope in each other, but hope in you, that you will continue to fix things, that you will continue to carry us, that you will continue to open the hearts of individuals who have been closed off to you, God, to really, truly wanting to worship and serve you, Father. We're so grateful. Please protect those that are out there traveling and as they go about their day, Father. And we are just, again, so grateful for everything that you have done for us. And it's in your Son, Jesus, Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. So guys, thank you so much for joining me here on Prayer with Friday with Unfiltered Vision News. We'll be back on Monday for Recap Monday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one. Oops, it didn't come up.